Officers, tabidi tukatlive yenyu short.
Nilijua.
Kwa nini afande?
Tuko na imminent threat na we need to deploy ASAP.
Threat gani hiyo?
Burhan.
This is MPAKANI, Story of the North, a Kenyan military action drama thriller that sees an elite special intervention unit assembled and posted to the Kenyan-Somali border to curtail an imminent terrorist threat. A synopsis that most definitely lays a pretty solid foundation for what could be a tantalizing tale. But we all know that a great idea is only half of the magic. When it comes to production, however, the devil is in the detail of execution. And if they had flubbed that, then this video would be here under a very different title. So seeing that they didn't, how exactly did MPAKANI, Story of the North, pull off what is arguably the best action thriller in the East African film community? Well, before we get too deep into that, why don't you take a moment here to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. So I would hope that it comes as no surprise to anyone that to see any major production to its end, it takes a whole lot of teamwork. Much like the concept of the show itself, a team of specialists in different fields need be assembled for the best chance of completing the mission.
Katana, aka Panther, Medic, PC, aka
University,
Sniper, PC Adhiambo, aka Machine Gunner.
First up is the storyboarding and writing squadron, with the director role being helmed by Victor Gatonye, a team of, if their work is to speak for them, brilliant writers in Waithaka Mukuria, Grace Irungu, Godwin Otuoma, and Brian Munene, alongside storyboarder Phil Xavier Kisenwa, and this team of story editors. The story arcs, dialogue, and structure of this narrative were crafted, giving it a mostly balanced tone when shifting from action to drama to thriller, and even a surprisingly well mixed in comedic touch, not only to offer some much needed levity in between the tension-filled scenes, but also giving our characters a very natural feel to them. If you've spent any time around Kenyans, you know that we joke a little too much.
And my sister zako Kibet, kwani ulitoka wapi bana? Ha?
Tena si wanaweza. Mzee, unaweza mind mimi nikiwa brother-in-law?
Underneath this blend of tones, there lies the goldmine of relatable and realistic takes on various themes that dictate character and narrative. The creative team took admirable shots into the themes of trauma, parenting and familial strife, dependency and addiction, more so towards the gambling side, extremism on both ends of military service as well as that of the terrorist insurgents, radicalization and social stigmatism, with those final few being quite risky topics.
Angalia mbele. Kwanza wewe kuna kitambulisho? Fuko kanga. Zile matengeneza river. Afande, pole sana. Unajua tumepatiwa description ya watu wawili wanakaa kama nyinyi. Description gani hiyo? Pole afande. Wasomali wawili? Pole afande.
And the reason as to why those particular themes are very delicate, well, that is better explained alongside the second squadron, the casting. A decent story and script is made that much more magnificent when the acting talent can actually match its quality and then some. And this cast was definitely more than up for the task, with names such as George Moe, Cloud Judah, Brendan Gesso, Emmanuel Mugo, Michael Munyoki, Brian Abaja, Eve Jackson, Karimi Njagi, Natasha Sakawa, Irshad Abdulaziz, Mwaura Bilal, Jemima Andeso, and Benson Ochugo Ubiero in the leading talent roster, alongside a host of named talent in the supporting roles, putting in some of their best work in their careers to completely embody these characters and bring them to life. And it is in these realistic characterizations that themes such as social stigmatization, for example, start to hit a little closer to home.
Ukigrow up ukikakaa mimi si rahisi. Watu wanakuanga washaku label. Washakuweka kwa box fulani. Immigrant. Terrorists. Mchafu. Waria. Kutoka class 1 hadi lisukuta dedi.
A theme so relatable, unfortunately so, that it would resonate just as well in a foreign audience watching MPAKANI.
MPAKANI is a story that will reveal a lot to Kenyans, and a lot of Kenyans will get to relate to some of these characters.
The same can be said for the themes of extremism and radicalization, both which ground the series and also give it a little edge in as far as engaging an audience.
Life hutufundishanga mapema that if you don't pick a side, one will be picked for you. Asi kila mtu pick the right side. My brother picked the wrong side.
and the characters themselves have a lot of depth to them. I especially have a lot to say about the main antagonist to this season, but I'll be saving that for another video. If you comment that you'd want to see that video, then I will make it sooner rather than later. Next is the audio and music squadron. For all the other audio segments I do for these, I usually use like a sentence or two to, finish the audio part. Sorry. No, really, I do appreciate your work, especially when you're doing a somewhat balanced audio mix such as the one on this one, with the sound effects, the music and the dialogue all being very well balanced, for the most part. But the reason I'm giving this department this much attention in this particular video is because of that opening soundtrack. Listen to this.
Kani vitamini fighter, kani moto mini lighter, leta ngori niko rada, leta nomo utanipata, let this my land that I vow to protect, nipe nguvu so that I can defend.
That is a certified banger. That is on par with anime openings. I legit never skipped those. By episode 2, I had already learned the lyrics. I was singing along to it all through the season. And saving the best for last, well, for me, is the principal photography, which I will be taking along with the art direction department. And here's why. Everything about the visual direction of this series works perfectly together. Firstly, the cinematography is masterful across all the angles and compositions that cinematographers Samuel Mwangi and Victor Ombogo were going for. But quite frankly, the most gorgeous shots in this series are the long shots. Given that the mission involves being relocated to the border, almost every new location in a scene is given the crispiest establishing shot, most forcing you to acknowledge and appreciate the beauty of this arid landscape. Take that and add to the choices made in how to capture their action scenes, and nearly every scene filmed, from a technical standpoint at least, is a treat for the eyes. And whilst we're speaking of action scenes, the stunt work here is actually pretty awesome. Full props to the cast and the stunt crew for that level of dedication. A level of dedication that the producers also put into delivering a somewhat authentic military face, so much so that they enlisted the services of a military technical consultant in one, Colonel Jonathan Kiprop, a role so crucial that he is actually listed second in the main credits. And once they could, and should, go on and on about the entire technical department from the wardrobe and makeup to the art director, my main focus here is on the visual effects. Action-heavy series actually rely a lot on the VFX being decent just to maintain the allure of movie magic. And for the most part, Foxton Media's VFX team managed to offer just that. The visual effects, mostly in the form of CGI, actually blend well into the practical material, thereby not causing any disconnect when you're watching this series. A feat that is quite new to the Kenyan action scene, and more especially on the side of serialized action-based entertainment, where the Kenyan scene has been pretty dry. I mean, the last series to come to mind in the same vein of Kenyan action entertainment was actually this. Okay, jokes aside, it was actually this.
Usiogope mzee. Mzee usiogope. Mimi ni afisa wa polisi.
Afisa ya polisi.
Mimi ni afisa wa polisi.
Mmegeusha uniform. Unafikiri mimi mjinga?
Yes, some of you might actually think I'm joking, but I really am not.
Unafikiri mimi mjinga?
This is 2008's The Cobra Squad. And if your thought process is, well, that's just unfair to compare a 2008 series to a 2022 release, well then that's exactly the point. These two are completely incomparable, more especially on the quality side. With what seems to be a sort of similar premise, the disparity in the level of resources in terms of both quantity and quality would obviously edge out the more current release of MPAKANI to the 2008 contemporary that is The Cobra Squad. However, more than that is the dedication that is put into the details that makes MPAKANI Story of the North such a quality product. In a lot of ways, it can be said that Cobra Squad walked so that MPAKANI Story of the North could run. And if you're one of those people who had a soft spot for the Cobra Squad but haven't gotten around watching MPAKANI, then consider this your free recommendation. Of course, the show has its demerits. One criticism I would levy, for example, is the multiple similar flashbacks. Now, most of these flashbacks were deployed very well, acting aptly as narrative devices as they should. However, some of them held too long or were used too frequently, and that would break the immersion that a series of scenes had already roped you into. A few of the line readings felt a little off and unnatural, and some of the themes being tackled were tackled in a very heavy-handed way. Which, if they were balanced out, especially those themes that are carried by a particular character, then some of those characterization elements would feel a bit more organic as opposed to being a caricaturized version of the same. And whilst this particular one didn't bother me so much, I know that there is somebody already thinking it, but since you won't type it in the comment section down below, then I will just address it as it is in your mind. There were a few CGI effects that were just a bit janky. I personally can't be too graded on that since I do not know the budget that was on this. Neither do I know the resources made available to the production team. But since I already know there's always going to be that one guy, I figured I'd call it out and address it right here. And quite honestly, these criticisms are things that can be easily approved on in the second season. We are getting one right. Season 1 as is still far surpasses any of the action thrillers that I have seen from the East African film community. And if you think I'm wrong, then kindly add the name of the film or series that you think actually beats this, and I will be watching that and probably making a video on that soon.
Na una hakika hiki kikosi chako kitaweza kufanya hivyo?
And so, much like in the show, it is in the assembly of the perfect specialized unit who share the dedication to achieve not just the highest level of entertainment, but the closest level of authenticity to the military action scene that led to the successful crafting of MPAKANI, Story of the North, in the quality version that we get to enjoy today. A version that quite literally elevated the Kenyan action thriller scene.
If you give them good content, they will watch. So MPAKANI is such a good storyline, it's well executed, so they will watch it and I know they will appreciate it.
Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on the series if you have seen it, or any thoughts on the opinions that I have shared in this video. 10 hut! Forward march to the subscribe button if you haven't already, and if you already subscribed, then at ease and feel free to enjoy any of these videos already out on the channel for your express enjoyment. It has been your soon-to-be favorite commander, your soon-to-be favorite uncle, Uncle Omari, and I simply cannot wait to see you all in the next one.
Dismissed.
Bless this my land that I've had to protect. Nipe nguvu so that I can defend.